November Test Team of the Week for the fourth week of matches, folks. There were some crackers this weekend. I watched England take on Argentina this morning. That was an absolute joy to behold. South Africa ground the Irish into the dust with their dominant scrum. The All Blacks, that game against Wales was actually, I think, the most mismatched game in terms of the difference between the sides and their world rankings points. But hey, there were still some good performers. We'll go through 15 guys plus honorable mentions who stood out at the weekend, kind of highlight some of their key moments and stats. You guys can let us know your thoughts on who you would have. As always, I've kind of picked them more or less in the kind of ease of which I thought they were to pick. As in, this guy, Thomas du Toit, was a pretty easy pick. I love starting with a prop. Because boy, with that box scrum was incredible. Like, it's not as sexy as a guy getting a hat trick of tries, but it's flippin' impressive. He doesn't even carry the ball. Stats say no carries, no meters, obviously, no passes, no turnovers considered. You got to touch the ball to do that. But scrum time was about as dominant as you ever see. Like, two sides both in the top 4 in the world. Quite incredible. Obviously, it's more than just Thomas du Toit, but it was mainly on the loose head side that Ireland were having problems. It goes down to the Springbok pack as a kind of unit. But, I mean, just like Malcolm Marx getting Player of the Year, you got to highlight an individual sometimes, even if it is a kind of team effort. But other stats, apart from just the scrum, 13 from 15 tackles. He's first equal for the game. Remember, they subbed the props pretty early, so massive defensive shift, including a defensive dominant tackle, and including a turnover one. So a massive scrum. I know the Irish scrum was kind of depowered a little bit by the fact that James Ryan left the field, quite rightly, with that insane moment of his, because he's like a big lump of tie head lock that would certainly help the scrum's power, but it was under pressure even before he went off. It just got worse once he went off. But I think bad things were coming Ireland's way at scrum time either way. So Thomas du Toit, love starting with a prop. One of the English lads was not even supposed to be in this game. Max Ajomo was a late replacement for the initially named Fraser Dingwall. He's only played one test up until this game against Argentina this weekend. Max, he played against the US, not the toughest of opponents, but with a red-hot Argentina coming to town, the pressure was on. And boy, did he stand up to it. The guy finished with a try, pounced on some kind of loose ball, which England had won through an aerial contest, which they do really well, and gets 2 try assists. One out to Faye Waboso with a kick. It's his only kick of the game. It's a beauty. I didn't realize he'd played a bit of 10 at club rugby recently, but it showed because there was space out there and he just took it without hesitation. Faye Waboso grabs it and goes over for a try. It's a skill play, that one. And the other one, the offload for Slade. Close range to the line, it is an absolute beaut. The chicken wing, it just floats in the air, and Slade's able to run over it on for a try. It is cracking stuff, but it's not just like the try and the try assists. 7 from 7 tackles is a great defensive shift. And remember, England are hanging on at the death in this game. Argentina have got some momentum. They've got their tails up. They've gone from their own 22. They get a line break as they're trying to break this English defensive line with the clock in the red. It's Ajomo and Daly who make the kind of covering tackle to shut down the line break. I know England conceded a penalty, so we got a line-out time, but if they don't get him, potentially game is lost there. So desperation tackle from Max, 100% on the tackle. Great stuff. Beats 3 defenders, has a line break. 104 metres is top for the entire game. 11 carries is top for England's backs. He does concede a penalty. But goodness me, what a game for Max Ajomo. You guys are starting to build some pretty nice depth in England in your midfield. Next guy, and I can't believe I'm not putting a South African here after that performance, but I'm going to chuck in Gus Bell from a losing Australia side. This may seem strange. I feel like I've kind of lumped all the credit into Thomas du Toit. If we can look at somebody else for a second. Angus Bell for Australia in their losing shift against France. He finishes with 6 defenders beaten, which is top for the entire match, which includes like BLBRA getting tries and, again with Damien Penaud playing and Eleni Kitao, a bunch of world beaters. Angus Bell's the top guy for busted tackles in the entire match. He gets a line break, which is pretty sweet for a prop. Finishes with 53 meters from 5 carries. So you got your prop averaging more than 10 meters a carry. Most of them are, to be fair, from the line break where he gets a try. Gets rid of Thomas Ramos and scores a long-range try that most props are not scoring. But Angus Bell is a special guy around the park. And not only is he the top guy for defenders beaten, but he's the top Aussie for tackles made with 11 from 11. As a prop, doesn't concede any penalties against a pretty big French pack. Doesn't concede any turnovers. 4 passes. That's a big old shift. It's like, it is more of the sexy stuff than the kind of core grunt work, but no penalties conceded, 11 from 11 tackles. The core stuff is there as well. Angus Bell deserves a shout out for a very good effort this week. Then I've gone with one of the Scotsmen, admittedly in a game which was a little bit lopsided. Scotland flogged Tonga, but George Horn comes off the bench, scores 2 tries, and he is one of the best at running that number 9 support line. When there's a line break on, it's like he can feel it. He can sniff it out. He knows where to be. He's got the perfect positioning to be in the right place at the right time to capitalize on a line break. He does that twice in this game, as I said, from the bench. And he has a try assist for Duhan van der Merwe, where he just draws in defenders from a line-out move, pops the ball. It's perfect timing, perfect placement. Duhan scampers through for a try. So he's got his hand on 15 points right there. And as I said, it's from the bench. 4 carries, 39 meters. So he's getting about 10 meters a carry as well. Beats a defender. 25 passes. No penalties conceded. No turnovers conceded. Makes 1 from 1 tackles. Like, if you want impact from the bench, that's your guy. George Horn. There are a few who are better than that guy. Now, left wing is far and away the most competitive spot, I think, this week. Like, do you want BLBRA with his couple of tries, including that magnificent chip over the top and chase against Australia? Do you want Jorgensen, who did his own kind of chip and chase on turnover ball against the French in that very same game? Do you want Caleb Clark? He bagged a couple of tries and busted some tackles. Do you want Tom Rogers? Scored a hat trick against the All Blacks for, as I said, the biggest mismatch in world rankings terms. You could pick loads of different guys. I went with Clark from the All Blacks game. Main reason, I mean, he gets the 2 tries, but main reason is dude busts 8 tackles in that game, which is the top guy for the week, and he's double the next best guy in that game. It's part of the reason you pick Caleb Clark. He's great at getting that offensive go-forward ball. And sadly, at the moment, the All Blacks at times kind of rely on guys to do individually brilliant stuff. And that's just like individual. You can rely on Caleb Clark. He's going to bust a few tackles. So he did that doubly good as anyone else this week. Couple of line breaks. Doesn't concede any penalties. He does have a couple of missed tackles, I think 3, which he won't be happy with. But like the one on Reece Zammit in the corner, he fair flogged him into the touchline. But Reece Zammit had the skill to just dot the thing down. So he gave it his best effort. I can't fault him for that one. 4 passes and offload and a kick. A couple of tries out wide, like I said. And busting tackles, fun. Caleb Clark. But man, if you wanted to go with any of those other wingers, I ain't going to blame you. It was a very competitive this week for left wingers in particular. Number 8, I'm going to go with the guy from that Bok and Ireland game, Jasper Wiese. Speaking of a guy who's like top of his game, and literally like top of that game, Jasper Wiese is not doing sexy hat-trick stuff, but he is doing pure like grunt work, grind them down, tire their legs out, keep the ball from them, rip the ball from them. That's just what Jasper Wiese is doing. It's what you want from him. 11 carries, and he's the top South African, first equal for carries this week. 32 meters. That is the first for South African forwards this week, and pretty good go-forward ball. 4 defenders beaten. That is first in that game. Like, that's half of what Caleb Clark got, but this is a much closer matchup. But it's not the closest matchup of the week in terms of world rankings points. I think France and Australia was like the closest one, but like it's still 2 pretty closely ranked sides. The Boks are obviously quite far above everyone else right now, but still, first for the game for busted tackles. 9 from 10 tackles, so he's at 90%, including a dominant one. He wins a turnover. Couple of passes, so he's carrying more than he's passing, but that's Jasper Wiese. He does have a couple of coughed up balls and a penalty, but yeah. Your top carrier, your top forward for meters, your top guy for the game for busting tackles, one of your top tacklers. Dude's a machine. You can build a team on the backs of guys like that. And he hasn't had a card for a while, eh? Keeping the discipline good will keep Rusty happy. Another winger who had a pretty good outing. He gets the 3-letter treatment because he's got a double-barreled surname. Manny Fei Waboso. Pretty good. He switched to the right wing for this game and he still looks an absolute beast, doesn't he? Scores a try. He gets the kick from Ajomo, like I mentioned, which is a pretty sweet bit of movement. He saw that the Argentinian winger had kind of come in field, narrowed a wee bit, and he maintained his width. Ajomo spotted him, pinpoint accurate kick, and a great take from him. Goes over for a try, shows some gas, and he's the one who kind of returns the favour earlier in the game. He's aerially contesting the ball. I think it was against Dalgui, the same winger. Causes enough disruption that the ball bobbles, and that's Ajomo's pounce for a try. So great from him. 100 metres, so he's cracking through the run meters as well, just like Ajomo. 2 defenders beating a line break. He misses a couple of tackles as well. He's 6 from 9, so both your wingers missed a few tackles this week. Only the one pass, couple of turnovers conceded, but goodness me, he is really, really dangerous out there for England. And I don't think I've got a Frenchman on the board yet. I have to go with Nicolas Deporter. 2 tries for him. Speaking of guys who run good support lines, a good support line for BLBRA, and then wide from BLBRA for a second. So him and BLBRA linking up pretty well. And defensively, he's only got 4 from 4 on his tackle sheet, so not called upon to make that many tackles, but 2 of them are dominant. So that's a big effort from him to have that kind of dominant completion rate. And like, he almost ran down Jorgensen. Jorgensen is lightning quick. He almost ran down Jorgensen for Jorgensen's line break on turnover ball. When BLBRA had been stripped, Deporter was the man herring after him along with one of the other guys. He came very close to catching him. Jorgensen's kick did get away from them, but full effort from this guy. And he helped set up one of BLBRA's try, the BLBRA chip and regather try. He's the guy who puts one of the initial balls out left and gets absolutely smoked in the tackle. But the ball getting that width allows BLBRA to do its thing. So he took the contact so his teammate could get some width in it. Pretty sweet stuff. So 2 tries, 5 carries, a line break, no penalties conceded, no turnovers conceded. Yeah, pretty good one in the midfield from him. 100% on his tackles. One of the Argentinian guys, so losing team. Going to go with Palmentin Gonzalez. For Argentina, you know he's one of my favorite players. And he's another guy, kind of like Visa, that when you look at his stats, he's just one of your top guys in many categories for the game or for his position or overall. He's just a very, very good player. 7 carries, 32 meters. He's your top kind of Argentinian forward in that aspect of the game. Remember, this features like Matera coming from the bench. It features Oviedo, who's a big unit on the ball carry. Cremo, who's a bit more defensively minded. But, yep, he's getting the ball forward. He's getting 4 defenders beaten, which is the same as Visa in that game. And kind of a similar one in terms of the matchups between the sides. Like 2 pretty similarly ranked sides, England and Argentina. He's the top forward for the game for defenders beaten. So he's busting tackles. 9 passes. That's the top forward in this game by a mile. The next one's Cowan Dickey with like 4. So he loves getting his hands on the pill. I love it that he's not that big a guy, but he busts tackles. He's got strength, but he's got the skill set as well. And he wins lineouts, 6, which is top for the game. 8 from 9 tackles, so that's a great number, including a dominant one. Does concede a couple of penalties, so by no means perfect, but man, he's got the skill, he's got the power. Really good player. Really good work rate. Like watching him play. Ruan Nokia for South Africa. Oh, I love picking this guy as well. I never thought that Ruan Nokia was like one of my favorite players, but the amount that I pick him, he must be. He always comes back with really good numbers. Because I love the stats of Ruan Nokia. 13 from 14 tackles. First equal for that game. In a game which is like defense is key, apart from the scrum. And he's part of this forward pack as well. 2 dominant tackles alongside that. 7 carries for 19 meters. That's busy around the park. And he's getting a good slightly over 2 meters a carry for a lock, which is a good shift. 6 lineouts won. First equal for the game. How important is the lineout drive and whatnot for South Africa? Pretty important. You need a guy like Ruan Nokia to be winning those balls, as long as they throw it in straight to him. 3 passes and an offload. He's got that in his locker as well. Doesn't concede any turnovers, just the 1 penalty conceded. Dude makes my whiteboard again. He's a real pleasure to watch, that guy. You guys got heaps of good locks in South Africa. Another one of the losing players, I chucked in Josh van der Flier. Now, you'd be hard-pressed in that game to find many Irish players who don't have a horrendous penalty count or a card to their name. But Josh van der Flier is one of those guys. No penalties conceded, no turnovers conceded, no cards. I don't think any passes either. But he also did one other thing which some of the Irish forwards struggled with, and he was able to get a bit of decent go-forward ball. 10 carries, first for Irish forwards. 28 metres. It's not quite like the metres per carry that like Jasper Wiese was getting, but it's in the same ballpark. And he's, as I said, top 4 Irishmen. 2 defenders beaten, including like the one try they scored, Sheehan. Line-out move. That's a really great one-hander take by Baird. And then who's the guy trucking it up from that line-out, getting over the advantage line? It's Josh van der Flier. He's a proper unit like that. He's, again, a bit deceptive for his size. He always used to get criticised about his carrying, but I haven't heard that for like 3 or 4 years now. Maybe less. But there's no questions about that here. Plus 11 from 12 tackles. The Irish had so many guys off the field for so long, they had to shut down a lot of Springboks plays. You need guys making 11 from 12 tackles. Josh is there. He wins a line out. As I said, doesn't concede any penalties. Good defensive shift and good on the ball carry from Josh. Julien Marchand from France. Hookers were good this week as well. There were quite a few good hookers. But Marchand, I've given it to. Scores a maul try. There were a few hookers getting maul tries this week. The French and Aussie game was full of guys getting maul tries. The Scottish hookers both got tries. There were lots of, guys in the low numbers getting tries this week. So he gets a try from 8 carries, and he's the top French forward for ball carry. So they were giving this guy some work, which is really pleasing to see. 16 metres. And their line-out was actually operating pretty successfully. There were quite a few line-outs this week who had some issues with not straights, who had some issues with, guys getting the timing wrong, overthrows and whatnot. 94% for France is cracking. 3 passes, 10 from 12 tackles, including a dominant one. It's a pretty good shift. I think he did get skinned by Angus Bell. But I think it was more he was expecting Ramos to make the tackle. But anyway, does concede the 1 penalty, but no turnovers conceded from him. Got 3 more spots. They were kind of tough to pick. I ended up going with another Englishman and Maro. I told you so I've kind of cheated a wee bit and gone with a couple of loose head locks here, but big defensive shift from Maro once again. 22 out of 22 tackles. I think only Ben Earl made more, and he didn't have 100%. 22 out of 22 tackles in a game where you win by 1 score. You need guys doing that kind of stuff, not just a Jomo getting try assists and tries and whatnot. You need the guys doing 22 out of 22 tackles, including 2 dominant tackles. It helps that the captain leading from the front. 5 carries for 14 metres is likewise, for a lock, pretty good numbers. He's got a pass, wins a couple of lineouts. Does concede a couple of penalties. I seem to remember one of them was pretty stupid, like offside. But, pretty good stuff from Maro. Number 10 was a tough one. I ended up going with Fergus Burke from that Scottish game. He kicked all his goals. They scored a lot of points. He obviously didn't play the entire time. They subbed him. But 100% goal kicking in a game which wasn't all kind of straight from under the sticks goals to be kicking. 10 carries, 3 defenders beaten, 3 line breaks, 83 metres. Scotland seemed to love a nice running 10. And they've got that in Fergus Burke. And he kicked once. He only kicked once. Yeah, he loves to run the ball. It's great. And he passes 21 times. So a lot of passing, a lot of running. Distributing, running 10. He's an exciting guy to watch. 5 from 6 tackles, wins a turnover, doesn't concede any penalties. As I said, kicks his goals, does it pretty perfectly. And then last guy, you might have to forgive me a little bit of All Blacks fandom because we've been waiting for this guy for a long time to get some games in this November period. But Ruben Love, not a perfect outing. Like, he got charged down once, which was pretty costly for us. I think he dropped a high ball, maybe missed a tackle on Hawkins, which led to a try. But, for the 50-odd minutes that he played, he scored a try, showed how dangerous he is with that footwork of his. He set up one of Caleb Clark's tries out on the wing. Great distribution coming into the line for him on attack. 7 carries. He's got 4 defenders beaten. He was level with Clark, I think, for defenders beaten for quite some time, but he has to go off, unfortunately, because he gets injured. He's got 4 kicks and 10 passes. He's got a line break. As I said, have a couple of turnovers conceded. So by no means a perfect outing. But he looks like a real danger man. And I was just pleased to see him getting a crack and convincingly doing some good stuff against a side which we were expected to beat pretty handily. And we did. So there you go. There's your 15 guys. Hope you enjoyed some of the stats and whatnot. I enjoyed looking them up. Subscribe to the channel if you want more of this kind of stuff. Honourable mentions. Obviously, all the other South African props. Malcolm Marx as well. Like the entire Bok 1 through 3 and then 16, 17, 18. All these guys need a special shout out because they were quite incredible. You don't usually see that happen. Tier 1 against Tier 1 or let alone like, top 4 teams against top 4 teams. It was massive. Turner and Ashburn, the two Scottish hookers, both did really well. Xander Fagerson was also looking really busy, back from injury against Tonga for the Scots. Jean-Baptiste Clot, also for France, was looking very busy around the park. Big Ben Taimiafuna got himself a nice turnover and a pretty tough shift from him. Spoke well after the game. Gave his jersey to Sione Tuipulotu, and there's a big size difference between those guys. It was kind of comical. Max Williamson from Scots, the big lump of a forward. I thought he did pretty good. Scored himself a nice try. Peter Steph du Toit was really busy around the park again for South Africa. You kind of come to expect that from him. Bradbury and Richie, a couple of the Scottish Lucies, also did really well. Richie set up a couple, I think, scored one. Bradbury, sweet passing and heaps of carries, heaps of run meters from him. Jagou from France came off the bench earlier than expected, did really well. Ben Earl, again, continued to rack up some really cracking numbers for England. Tom Jordan and Sasha Feinberg Ngomazulu both had their moments in their games. But yeah, by no means perfect. But I mean, Sasha's fend for his one was cracking. Tom played 15 and 10 in that win over the Tongans. Ikitel for Australia is good again. Picardo for Argentina, if not for Ajomo, probably gets the nod at 12 because he was quite amazing for Argentina. BLBRA is probably, apart from the South African props, like the biggest snub here. You could easily go BLBRA, but as I said, Tom wrote his hat-trick against the ABs. Cracking stuff. Max Jorgensen for Aussie. Duan van der Merwe did really well for the Scots as well. Took that try-scoring record. Will Jordan had his moments for the ABs. This guy, Calvin Gourguet, for France, had a really sweet debut from the bench. Malia, before he got injured, Rezamet. Severis had a cameo. We could go on and on and on and on and on. There were heaps of good performances this week. You guys let us know your thoughts on them. Who were your standout performers at the week? Did you like all the sexy guys getting the hat tricks and turnovers, or did you like the grunt work of the guys who get through all the tackles and win scrum penalties? You guys let us know your thoughts. Thank you so much as always for being here. It's been a cracking autumn series. There is still South Africa to Wales, but that looks like it could be a pretty messy one. But anyway, you guys take care, and I'll talk to you guys again soon. See you later.